This is the second video of lecture 5. In the previous video, we learned what kind of goods should be provided by government. And economics theory suggests that non-executable, non-liable goods should be provided by government because market cannot have profit incentive to provide these goods. As the next step, today we'll learn a critical issue when government actually provides public goods. Specifically, we'll learn differences between provision of public goods and that of private goods. First of all, public goods are provided by government, and then sometimes citizens, maybe consumers, do not need to pay for that. Of course, they pay taxes, but they do not directly pay for these public goods. Of course, there are some public goods which require users to pay the fee. If that is the case, marginal benefit cannot be a only factor which determine consumers' usage of these goods. So price should be here. Another difference between private and public goods is that in public goods, individuals cannot determine how much public good is necessary. As we learned in supply and demand theory, interactions of self-interested consumers and sellers determine the price. So actions of many buyers and sellers finally converge a certain price range, and then we'll see a pattern of economic exchanges regarding price and quantity like this. However, in the case of public goods, different demands of consumers cannot be converged through the competition because government will decide the level of goods provision in a certain way. In other words, in market of private goods, demands in a society equals horizontal sum of individual demands. According to the price determined through the competition, individuals will have a certain amount of goods. The amount will be different from individual to individuals because they have different budget and preferences. But when considering a total amount of demands in a society, that is a horizontal sum of individual demands. That is a market mechanism. In public goods, individuals cannot determine a certain amount of goods. Instead, government should decide specific level of supply. So even if an individual wants this level of public good provision, once government decides this level, there is no way to change it. Therefore, in a democratic government, how to decide a level of public good provision is a critical issue. Government might seek which level of public goods provision people tend to place higher values. Higher values means marginal benefits in the case of public goods because many goods do not require users to pay the fee. In sum, in market of private goods, total demand in a society is horizontal sum of individuals' demand. However, in public goods, specific level of public good provision is determined by vertical sum of individuals' marginal benefits or maybe total values in a society. So, a critical issue now, public good provision. The government cannot reflect individuals' demands on public good provision because it involves collective decision making rather than individual decision making. A way of collective decision making would be different from country to country or community to community. However, it's mainly about voice. For instance, voting will be a main way to determine the level of public good provision in a democratic country. There is another mechanism which can affect the level of public good provision, relocation of citizens, and then we'll cover that concept, Thibault hypothesis, at lecture 11. In sum, theory of public goods suggests that non-excludable, non-rival goods should be provided by the government. However, when the government provides these goods, they will face a challenge where they cannot reflect individuals' demand on that public good provision. Finally, we reached at the last slide for market failures. The last market failure in this lecture is imperfect information. However, we'll cover details of imperfect information, information asymmetry at lecture 8, so I'll just summarize the concept here. This is the newest concept of market failures. Classical economists didn't mention this, however, they assume that consumers know quality of goods and services. Also, suppliers know real demand of consumers, how much they want or what kind of goods they want. In actuality, however, many consumers don't know the real quality of goods and services. Also, suppliers cannot know how much consumers want or what kind of goods they really want. For instance, maybe self-interested suppliers try to hide real information for quality of their goods, and because they want to sell their goods at a higher price despite the low quality of their goods. Also, since suppliers cannot know what consumers really want, they might sell what consumers don't really want, and then also consumers might not have good options of goods because suppliers don't know their demands. Under such imperfect information in the market, interactions of buyers and sellers cannot achieve efficient allocation. That's why imperfect information is a market failure. This slide just lists 3 big schools of economics based on article of Krugman at the New York Times. Actually, his article is heavily used in introductory economic course. In my case, I read this article when I was in MPA program at the Maxwell School of Syracuse University. Especially first 4 pages of his article provide a great brief of economic history. I used term classic economics and neoclassic economics many times so far. However, it would be my first time to mention Keynesian economics. Keynesian economics supports government interventions. And to summarize, classic economics is established by Adam Smith in the 18th century, and then it believes that market can solve scarcity without government interventions. And Keynesian economics, which is established by Keynes, theorizes that active government intervention is necessary to fight unemployment. Unemployment is a form of scarcity, especially during economic recession. And finally, neoclassic economics, a founder is Milton Friedman. We've read his book. Government intervention is necessary, but should be limited to secure economic freedom. And Milton Friedman is saying that in this modern era, all the economists are Keynesian at a certain degree. However, the important point is that neoclassic economists believe market is a main force of solving scarcity. This is the end of lecture 5. We've covered 2 market failure concepts, public goods and imperfect information. However, we'll cover details of imperfect information in lecture 8. We also studied 3 main schools of economics. And from the next lecture, we will learn series of government failures. These are core part of this course because these series are application of economic theory to the public sector. So before going to that lecture, if you have some concepts you do not fully understand, please review them. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.